and welcome to another conversation here on Black Working Mother. I'm so excited to share this chat with you. Now, today we're going to talk to some interesting pointers, and it's a question that I got some time back, and I thought to myself, that would make a really great conversation. The topic of raising strong Black girls. And obviously this conversation came up between a friend of mine and myself because we were chatting about having recently had a baby girl and what my thoughts were on the issue. So I did a lot of research while I was pregnant with my baby girl, and I'm just going to share with you 4 key things that really stood out for me. Of course, this being a community, please feel free to share in the comment section what you think your tips are if you have ever been confronted with this question. But I think it's an absolutely integral part of forming a strong community. This is something that we owe to our children. So it's really important in a nutshell. Okay, so here we go. Number 1. Representation. I cannot underestimate or understate rather how important it is for girls and boys and people generally to have representation. I remember a chat I had with my dad once where we were talking about this, and he said that he decided to become a pilot because when he was in class, his favorite teacher for show and tell brought this one guy in and said, this kid has been so successful and he's now a pilot. And his favorite teacher was so proud of this kid. And then he realized that actually this kid comes from the same background as me, he looks like me, so maybe I can do the same thing. So representation really matters. When I go out to buy clothes for my little girl, I usually look at what's on them and what message it's actually putting out there. And I kid you not, when I see a t-shirt with a blonde hair, blue-eyed little girl or Princess Sophia, I do not even bother. And I know that might seem a little extreme if you're watching this, but believe me, your little girl is going to be inundated with so many ideal standards of beauty, most of them Eurocentric, that you don't need to contribute to that. So representation matters. Black books, images, and films and books of Black women doing great things are so important. So make sure that you actually control the kind of representation that she sees and that you're actually giving her people to aspire to and people who can inspire her to be great. Okay, great. So that was a bit long, but bear with me. And I've got my handy laptop here so I don't forget anything. So it's really important to give a representation. Number 2, and this one is interesting for me because it's more about being than doing. Speak well of yourself and of other women. Allow your daughter to grow up in an environment where she knows that shining a light on other people doesn't take anything away from her. Why is this so important? It's important because too often we pass on negative self-esteem to our children. So if you're always criticizing how tough your hair is to manage, how fat you are, or how dark-skinned you are and you need to be a little bit lighter, she's going to pick all these cues from you and they're going to inform her reality and her perception of herself. So it's really important to speak well of yourself, but even more important as well is to speak well of other women and bring up other women and try and do away with the negative gossip and things like that have become so ingrained in our day-to-day that we don't even think about them. Really crucial so that your daughter's frame of reference is a positive one. Okay. Number 3, and this one is also so important. If you cannot limit the kind of media your daughter is watching or imbibing, then at least teach her to analyze and critically view this information. Critical thinking is of absolute importance to teenagers. Teenagers don't communicate with their parents, and even more importantly, their frame of reference and their world is so impacted by the things that they imbibe through media. So imagine if from a young age, you teach your child to critically analyze the media and even reject notions that she feels are harmful. Eurocentric ideals of beauty, unrealistic expectations of body image, even things like hair and how she looks. It's so critical that you teach her that this is not what makes her valuable, that this is not the standard to which she must judge and hold herself, and that it's more important for things like intelligence and kindness and compassion. If you lay a strong foundation, you will raise a girl who is not dictated to by the world on who she needs to be, but has a strong frame of reference for who she is. Okay? I love that one. Okay, last but certainly not least, research has shown that girls who take part in sports are actually more confident than those who don't. Now, this actually makes sense to me. I mean, I ride horses, I swim, I take part in a whole bunch of sports. But I realized that what this has taught me is that I don't need to just look at my body and judge it by its appearance, but also by what it can do. And sports is great at doing that. It's great at bringing out a part of you that it doesn't have to do with how you look, because the world judges you enough on that without you doing that to yourself. So sports is really crucial for them to learn teamwork, to learn effort, resilience, hard work, but also that their body can be judged for its performance rather than just its appearance. So here's my big takeout for today. The world needs strong Black women, but they're not going to make themselves. So if you are ever in a position of privilege to raise a Black girl, whether it's a niece of yours, a friend's daughter, your own daughter, a grandchild, make sure that you are thinking critically about the day-to-day things that you're teaching this girl. So I wish you all the best with that. Please let me know in the comments section if you agree with some of what I've said, if you have any other tips that you can pass on to the community. I would love to hear from you. Until we talk again, this is Seanice signing out for Black Working Mother for today. Thank you for your attention.